Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play-to-earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And in today's video, I just wanted to follow up on yesterday's videos, just to continue the conversation and provide some additional commentary. And let's see where we go from here. It's really just trains of thought that I had on some of the topics that we've been covering here in the community. So on the whole bot debate, there's really three stances here, right? One is if you own and run bots or you're renting collection power to bot farms, you're probably likely fine with the status quo of bots. Two, if you play the game and don't have or do any of the previous, you probably don't like bots and have a negative view of them in the game. And three, if you have a long-term vision of the game, for example, 3 years plus, you're probably just indifferent and will just let the game do what the game is going to do and probably don't really have too much of an opinion right now. And, excuse me, in my opinion, if you are a stakeholder in this game, you shouldn't just stick your head in the sand and hope everything works out. You really should be and stay informed and push for positive changes. And let's stay tuned for the town hall tomorrow and see if the topic gets brought up and is addressed in a hopefully positive fashion here, and that topic being the one of bots win trading and kind of abusing the economy. But what I would say is, certainly listening is a key skill, and denial is the first stage, right? It's not just a river in Egypt. And admitting that we have a problem allows us to then subsequently address it. So let's cross our fingers. Let's hope that there's at least some commentary, some discussion here in the town hall. And let's hope that the ranked reward system upcoming does a good job of addressing some of the findings that we've had recently and some of the challenges that I think we've known exist for a while. So for today's video, one of the topics I wanted to discuss was the new ranked reward changes, right? And three likely scenarios that we could consider coming out of those new ranked reward changes, right? So the first scenario that we could possibly see happening, we'll just call it scenario A, right? Would be if the ranked reward changes that are published encourage the bot owners to purchase or rent cards to use and climb to gold plus levels to earn rewards, and they're still allowed to win trade freely without repercussion. And we can refer to yesterday's video for details on that topic. In this case, the bots will likely continue to rent just generic cards for collection power and farm as usual. The reward card buyers will buy the farm cards and the renters will continue to rent to the bots, and the card market honestly will probably just continue to decline as new players probably are not entering the game as quickly, right? And as a major market activity here is a cycle of bot farmers farming and listing lower over time, and speculative card landlords buying along the way. And this cycle continues for a time, right? And we'll park that thought for a few moments here. So scenario B would be, with the introduction of the new ranked reward changes, it would encourage the bot owners again to own or rent their cards, and they would earn rewards and climb to gold plus levels, but they could not win trade freely, right? In this scenario, the reward changes would have done their job or impacted their desired change. The bots would need to be more selective in their card rental choices, like us real humans are, and generic CP rentals of Chaos Agent reward cards like max level Gargoyle Devils would not be as lucrative, right? You couldn't just brute force your way into silver 3 or higher, and you couldn't win trade to get those levels, right? So in that case, rental prices for all the summoners and the meta cards should climb, which would also influence the associated card market sale prices as well. And at some point when the bots determine the sweet spot to play at for scaling purposes in the leagues, those league level breakpoints for the levels, like whether it's silver, gold, or diamond or whatever, would be what the rent-to-own investors would want to target at that point in time. Now, scenario C would be if the ranked reward changes make botting not profitable across the board, and there's no exploitable workarounds for the bots to essentially cheat, right? So in that case, daily active users would likely decline sharply, as bots would be shut off and no longer operated, right? Because they wouldn't be profitable. The rental market would decline and possibly just crash. The card bubble could possibly burst on us, and short-minded players might exit the game. That would lead possibly to a game reset, leaving a stable core player base, and then at that point in time, the game could again get ready to ascend with new features and functionality that's being released in the roadmap coming up, right? So this would be an accumulation phase for the bullish of the bulls and would test the sanity really of everyone else. For what it's worth, I don't see scenario C to be a likely scenario, as the top bottomers are very, very intelligent and would likely find a way to game the system. But this would probably be the worst case scenario. Now, if you didn't sell the bottom in scenario C, you're probably fine, but you're also bag holding probably for 2+ years. But again, it's very likely that scenario A or B happens, and hopefully it's scenario B is the result that we get, but let's see. Now, the second topic I wanted to discuss today was to take a moment to try and understand the whole bot farmer and card landlord relationship that's been described in many places online as symbiotic, right? And for that, we need to take a step back in time to September of 2021, when the new Chaos Legion reward cards came out and the print numbers were revealed, right? So if you refer to my previous video on do we have a people problem, you might better understand the Chaos Legion reward print numbers and that topic. But while the Chaos Legion reward print numbers have been known and have never changed, right? The manner in which they have actually been consumed and used is probably far different than at any other time in Splinterlands history. And let me kind of explain my logic there. So instead of being farmed organically by a large player base of real human players, let's say the team anticipated 400,000 players, right, who would presumably use the cards to some degree, we've instead really realistically had a large amount of bots, quantity currently unknown, but likely many more than the human players playing the game right now, farming and instantly selling the cards. So the type of user and the actual use of the cards, here are the key differentiators to note in the Chaos Legion reward card behavior we're seeing. And arguably, when the game was much smaller during the beta and Untamed editions and release of those reward cards, so we can kind of presume that the organized level of botting we are seeing now was not running at the same scale and percentage of the total cards and economy that is occurring today, right? So keep that in the back of your mind when you're comparing things, because it's not apples to apples, right? Now, we probably also know the current situation in the game. A small amount of humans own a large amount of bots and farm the reward cards to sell. They don't use the reward cards themselves, and their known accounts don't appear to buy any card assets in the game. Now, if you're a bot owner and you dispute this, let me know. Come on the channel, we'll talk about it, right? But that's the assumption, right? So, they continue the operation through card rentals, really, because it's assumed they don't want to be stuck with assets, holding card assets that they would have to sell in case their operation ceases to be profitable or allowed in the game, right? So, in my opinion, honestly, the bots are basically parasites. Sure, the DEC and SPS that they're stacking could possibly be buying land plots or node licenses outside the game, but it can't be verified. And it's safe to say that from a pure card asset perspective, they're leeches, right? Aggie has also said one of his biggest regrets in the game of Splinterlands is doing the kind of the pre-sale or the private investor sale and letting them just dump SPS on the market. Well, the reason why it's probably a regret is because there's no value added to the company or to the players in the game with that behavior. People just came in, gave some money, and then got much, much more money in return and added no value to the ecosystem or the game. Well, I mean, if you look at it, that's exactly what the bots are doing, and nothing's being done about that. So, for those that argue that the game allows bots and it's fine, my question to you is this. If the game truly allows and encourages bot behavior, then why is there not a mega spellbook in the in-game store that we can buy from Splinterlands? And let's say you could buy that mega spellbook for $1,000 to purchase. And this mega spellbook would grant you, the owner, 100 daily loot chests for finishing a daily quest in Bronze 3 each and every day, because you've got the mega spellbook and you paid $1,000 for it, right? Or let's say Splinterlands offered a mystical tome of knowledge and it cost $10,000 instead of $10, right? And this mystical tome of knowledge granted you, the owner, 12,000 reward chests at the end of each season if your account finished in Silver 3. It's not a bad deal, right? Or what if you could buy the magical scripture of printing money, and that would cost you $100,000, right? Not $10, it would cost you $100,000. But that magical scripture of printing money would let you, the owner, collect 20,000 daily reward chests each day just for playing in Silver 3, right? In reality, this is what the bot farm owners have. They have the mystical tome of knowledge printing rewards, and you don't. And Splinters won't sell that to you directly. You're not going to find the mystical tome of knowledge in the Splinterlands store selling for $1,000. And here's the catch. If you go to the black market of mystical tomes, right, the bot farms, you can buy one and no one's going to say boo. And does that sit well with you? Again, remember, there's a reason why this is not available in the marketplace for you to buy in Splinterlands. So, and for those that say, well, nothing can be done to fix the bots, right? It's just business as usual. Well, I think most problems can be fixed, right? We've gone to the moon, I guess, right? Unless you don't think we've gone to the moon, and that's a different story. So in that case, what I would ask is, what happened when quest potions were deemed an exploit in the game? Were those fixed? And was that value leak plugged for all players? And yes it was. And it was done quite expeditiously to boot. So, if you're still watching this video and you're saying, move along, there's nothing to see here, stay tuned for something that might change your mind, and we'll get to that topic in a little bit here towards the end of this video. So, and here we have the magical tome of knowledge that's not going to be available for you or I to purchase in the Splinterlands store at all. So, but let's now imagine a Splinterverse where bots were not allowed to farm freely without owning assets and not reinvesting in the game. That's really could be our future if the ranked reward changes work. I mean, that world might be marvelous. I mean, everyone would be equal, essentially, right? Playing for the rewards. Everyone would strive to attain greatness, for example, higher rank, in order to earn more rewards, and card prices and rental prices would go up, and battles would be more intense and competitive, and hey, there'd be more strategy videos on YouTube, and there wouldn't be talk so much about bots draining the ecosystem and abusing the system. And this is what we should try to get to, right? And hopefully we do. But if scenario A that we spoke about earlier holds true, in that case, bot farmers continue to manipulate and exploit the system, you're not going to probably see this pseudo-utopia for assets that we just discussed. We'll probably see more of the same of what we've seen to start this year, and that's not necessarily great news. So my last train of thought for today's video is, are bots creating a bubble? And I would argue, if we continue down the course we're currently on, and bots continue to farm cards with no contribution to the card community, it will be a bubble that bursts that could effectively destroy the game. And again, I know we're just a few short weeks away from the ranked rewards system being put in place, which is great news, honestly. If it does what it's designed to do, we're going to see some progressive change here. But again, there are some loopholes, as we've seen with some win trading and other things in the ecosystem, that need to be addressed as part of this rollout, and hopefully it is. The good news here is that Matt and the Splinterlands team obviously have known about this issue and this challenge, because for them to have ranked rewards being rolled out in a couple weeks here, it means it's been a topic that's been on their mind. You can't just make this change in the game by flipping a switch overnight. It takes time, many months of development, I'm sure. So the good news is we're having it addressed in some form or fashion, right? So all is not doom and gloom, but again, it's been 8 months of the money printing machine going. So, hopefully this rights the ship on the right course. But, here's going back to my point here is, if that the ranked reward changes doesn't make the desired effect, what happens? Well, look at the cycle. If the cycle continues as it's been, right? Bots are going to farm mass quantities of reward cards, right? Investors speculate, and they're going to, as card landlords, scoop up the said reward cards, and they're going to rent them in mass quantities back to the bot farmers. The bot farmers might add more accounts and farm more cards, and the cycle repeats, right? And what this does is it creates a disproportionate amount of bot accounts, right? A large number of bot accounts that are owned by just a small group of bot owners, as compared to the real players who are playing the game and putting actual real money into the game, right? It also creates a small group of card owners, right, and that own a large proportion of cards and collection power, these investor card landlords. And these card owners are dependent upon the bots to keep renting. Now, they're going to own too many card assets for the actual number of real human players in the game to actually rent. So this really creates a scenario that is the opposite of decentralization. You have a small group of bot farm owners and a small group of card landlord investors owning and using a majority of assets in the game. Now, for all of the decentralization maxis out there, wrap your head around that for a moment and spin on it, because this is obviously a dangerous position for an economy to be in. Now, as soon as the bot owners decide to pull out or stop farming or whatever else, maybe Black Swan happens, the bubble crashes. And it's not really just a matter of if, it becomes a matter of when, because the whole economy is set up at such macro numbers, right? There's so many assets in one pool of the pie, and there's so many users of those assets are dependent on consuming those assets in a small section, right? It becomes kind of an untenable situation. And when the bot owners pull out, ooh, that's bad news, right? So how do we prevent this? Well, it's obviously, make scenario B, the utopian scenario, happen as soon as possible, right? With the ranked rewards being effective. We need to continue to bring more players into the game organically and make it a good experience for them and show them there is a path to earning and show them the fun of the game itself, right? Those are key points. And that's a separate topic really for a video on how kind of the bronze league is really not fun for new players, right? But that's a separate topic we'll talk about in a future video, right? But, the game might need to take a short-term L, right? Take a short-term loss and get rid of the bot farmers that are acting maliciously, right? Or replace them with truly symbiotic bots that aren't opposed to investing in the card economy and, playing along with the rest of us, right? So, here's the thing. Don't worry, Splinterlands fam. We're going to get through all of this one way or the other. And as many people have stated, none of this is really new news. But it is news that I think we should be informed of in areas as stakeholders of the game that we should monitor as new updates and functional releases are added, because again, as I mentioned in my previous video, there's some loopholes and some areas that could be technically abused that we need to make sure are addressed, right? Now, if you've stuck around this long, well, you must like to hear me talk, and if you do, consider subscribing to the channel, as we'll continue to bring unbiased and hopefully beneficial content to the community. And for those of wondering, yes, I am still bullish on Splinterlands and the dev team here. I believe in the project, I believe in its vision and its ability to adapt and overcome. Let's give the team a little more time to execute here. And again, if I didn't believe in the game and this team, I'd find better things to do with my time than talk about it, right? So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, keep stacking those stats.
That's entertainment.